Right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Yes, it's Friday. You guys saying, well, it's easy talk. Yeah, I've got like the assembled back again. Yeah, the crazy gang. Actually, we're -1. Mube, where's Larry, man?
No, Larry had to run out and get a drink. You know, he can't be on the show without a drink.
Anyway, we've got some serious business to discuss in the chairman of the board's office, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the other side of this music intro before I get into it. Yeah, welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. I say Arsenal fans, but I'll tell you what, over the last month or two, we've had like QPR fans like being subscribers, Liverpool fans, Everton fans, Aston Villa fans, but still predominantly like a fan for Arsenal fans all over the world. But guys, make sure you subscribe to Cannon Fodder TV and hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news right here on this wonderful channel. Let's say the hellos, not the goodbyes just yet. James, how are you? Oh, there's a bit of a lag.
It's a good
Hello,
start.
everybody. Nice to meet you.
There's a bit of a lag there. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, Raj, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, good to be here. It feels like, I was dropped and Alex didn't call me up to the lineup for a while. So I've been thinking about what I've done wrong. Been in the gym. What can I say? I'm just happy I got the call up. Clearly Alex was desperate. The usuals are probably dropped down.
Injuries.
And I'm back. And it's like, it's amazing. I only get the call up when there's ever anything financial related that needs to be discussed.
Hey, he tried to put us in the shop window. That's why he got us on the channel in the transfer window.
It's not working, is it? Chairman, how you been, man?
Yeah, man, we here, man. Happy New Year to everybody. I think we've been on since the beginning of the year, so big up the guys, man. And
yeah, nice,
we here. Let's get it go.
Okay, cool. Well, you know what? The first thing I actually want to, I know I kind of gave you guys like the topics. So in reverse order, I don't want to talk about Balogun, Ketcher just yet. Let's talk about something that's kind of really fresh in our minds, and that was the game. Yeah, against Crystal Palace, man. How did it end? 0-0. And when I did my post-game reaction, it was like the same old Arsenal. All those aches and pains kind of came back. I was thinking, oh, yeah, Arsenal, come on, sort yourselves out. Ah, dear. James, what's your, assessment of yesterday's lack of action? Think James is stuck?
That says it all.
Oh, no, he's not.
Well, I think it doesn't bode well for the upcoming fixtures we've got. I think it doesn't bode well for the upcoming fixtures that we've got. I mean, if you look at our run from Manchester United onwards, at home to Manchester United, away to Villa, at home to Leeds, away to Leicester, Wolves, Man City away as well. It's tough times, really. And, we had 4 good wins, and everybody's all of a sudden talking about Champions League football. And talking about European football, we're near at the minute. It's just a good upturn. And I just think that it's a long old season, and I think that people forget how long a football season actually is. And we're nearing the end of January, where we, will close the and we're doing rather than buying a hole in our pocket.
Oh, Alex, you're on mute.
You're mute, Alex. You're mute. Rookie mistake.
Well, yeah, James has got a connection problem, and you're just self-inflicted, mate.
Or maybe I need to drop myself. Larry's in the Tim of the Board's office now. Larry, how are you? Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. Same to you guys. Happy New Year, guys. Not bank. Hey,
Hello.
Bobby Guna. Hey,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Hennessy. James, how are you, sir? How are you, James?
Hello, Happy New Year, Larry. Happy New Year. Best wishes. Very, very, very well, thank you. How anyone?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay, we got there in the end. Got there in the end. Yeah, North Bank. Your thoughts on the game yesterday? The lack of action. Same old Arsenal. Same old Arsenal.
Yeah. No, it was a really drab game yesterday. I think I said on Twitter, I think the way it felt like to me was it was like two really bad teams playing a training game. That's how it looked like,
I
right?
saw your tweets.
It was just so boring. I mean, if you look, there was not. I saw the Sky Sports stats said there wasn't one. By how they define clear-cut chances, there was not one clear-cut chance created by either team. It's terrible. Like Arsenal's expected goals this game was, I think, 0.37. A home game against anyone, if your expected goals are 0.37, that's pretty poor. But I think James's point's really important. What he said about it being a long season, and I think as much as when we were doing really well recently, we put on that really great run. You can't really get too excited when those things happen. But similarly, you can't suddenly get really upset when we've drawn a game. At the end of the day, we had won 3 Premier League games on the bounce prior to that, right? And then an FA Cup game as well. We still haven't conceded a goal in a long time. I mean, there are positives to take out this, and I think, but concluding on what James said, it's a long season. We shouldn't get too freaked out, but we shouldn't also equally just go over the top when we start winning a couple.
Movie.
Hey,
Come
listen,
on.
man.
Come on, man.
I said, no, I'm not. You're not gonna get it from me. Listen, man. The last 5 games we have won 4. We have drawn 1. Yesterday was a poor game. Let's not get it twisted. I was pissed by the result. Not even the result, but the performance, man. There was no point in the game where I feel like we was gonna score. Like never. Like I never was watching the game and be like, all right, we're building up ahead of steam. We looked like we were gonna score. Like nothing yesterday. Like I couldn't pick a player that I would say, could change a game for us. During the game, I said it would have been nice to have an $80 million player on your bench to bring on and change the game for you. And unfortunately, we don't have one. We have an $80 million player, but he come on and it's just like nothing. It was a bored game. But like a guy said, man, we can't overreact to wins. I'm not gonna overreact to a drawn game. 6 games ago when we was on that losing streak, if you told me you give me 5 games, 4 wins and a draw, I would have took it. You know what I'm saying? It's disappointing the way that it happened because it's Crystal Palace at home. But if you look at it, if we had drawn against Chelsea at home and then win this game against Crystal Palace, we still wouldn't been looking at the last 4 result. 10 points from 4 games. I don't think that's really something to get overreact about. But it was a poor performance. But we got to give the team the benefit of the doubt. It was just an off game. For the last 4 games, we haven't seen this kind of performance. So let's hope they just can pull themselves up. I think the Newcastle game is going to tell us if we really have turned the corner. We've seen this before with this team, though, with teams that come and defend with the low block. We saw it last year when we went away to Aston Villa. And, when team defend against us and just sit, because Crystal Palace came and they just tell us, you're going to have the wings. You're not going to come in the middle. But because we don't have, Tierney wasn't playing, which is our best fullback. Bellerin, I'm not even going to talk about Bellerin. And Niles just didn't have a good game. When the game started, he just wasn't comfortable playing at left. And we've seen him do it before. He just had an off game. I don't think it's something I see a lot of people blaming Arteta for playing him at left back, but we've seen him play there before and perform. And, if Kolasinac was here, the same people wouldn't want to see Kolasinac played. If Arteta had played Kolasinac and we didn't win, they would have blamed Arteta the same way and say, why didn't we play Niles? Why Kolasinac still playing? I mean, you just can't when the results don't go your way, everybody's going to nitpick what we should have did and what we shouldn't have done. So it was just an off day for all the players, man. I think when you look at, we was just unlucky in some of the chances. I see Bellerin took one off Lacazette foot. You never know with the form that he's in. We don't know what would have happened, but it was just one of those games where nothing went right. I'm just gonna chalk this one off. We got a point out of it. We didn't lose. It feel like a loss, but we didn't lose. So I'm just gonna take that point, go on to the Newcastle game on Monday. Now this is a big game because now it's more pressure. We can't go in that game and draw that game again. You know, we have to get 3 points in that Newcastle game, and that kind of put a little bit more pressure on the players. So let's hope they can stand up and see what they do.
Yeah. Don Larry, your thoughts on the game yesterday? I thought I got an idea of what you're going to say, but let us know your thoughts.
You see, the game yesterday shows that Tierney is very important for us. We missed him yesterday, and also there was lack of creativity in the middle. Yes, we know Smith Rowe did well recently, but the experience is still there to be able to, they marked him out because I think Crystal Palace they studied our last 2-3 games since Smith Rowe, Saka, and has been in front. Now they planned against their movement, and that was what caused it. There was no creativity at all, and then our captain was nowhere to be found. So it shows yesterday that Arsenal has no plan B. I kept on saying this. We have no plan B. I remember in the days of Unai Emery, but if we go in 0-0 into the second half, by the time we come back, you see a new plan. I can give credit to him on that. I've seen many games like that. We have no plan B. This is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to really discover. Then it shows that without, because no crosses was coming from the left, from the right. And we can't blame Maitland-Niles at all because he's not a natural left winger. He said it himself. He's not, his role is to play in the middle. And we are using him to play left wing. So the crosses might not come from him as such. Anytime he doesn't have good game, it shows. So yesterday there was that loophole that we need another left back and also a creative midfielder.
Larry, just with the starting 11, were you surprised to see Aubameyang and Lacazette starting? Starting.
What surprised me was that I didn't see Mari or Gabriel, and immediately I did not see Tierney. Also, I knew Womboch. I knew that game would be too difficult because I know Crystal Palace very well. Austin knows how to arrange players. He knows how to do that. So I knew it would be very difficult for us. If we had Tierney, even if there's no creativity, if crosses are coming in from the wings, at least we could put in maybe a header or a goal man scramble or anyhow and put it in. You know how many crosses we had? If we had crosses from the left yesterday, I knew very well that at least one goal will have come. But AML is not a natural left footer, so it's very difficult to make crosses. And then Smith Rowe was totally marked out. He was totally marked. He tried his best. But as a young lad, he lacks the experience of big games, so he was marked out. That was why. Lacazette was not getting any ball from anywhere, so we can't blame Lacazette.
James, I saw you respond to a tweet this evening in regards to our talisman, Aubameyang. The tweet was basically saying that we may have made a mistake by offering him a contract extension. Do you feel that's the situation? Because basically since he has signed the team, by the commas, he hasn't really performed to the same level as he done previously over the last 2 seasons. So do you think Arsenal made a mistake in offering him the contract extension, James?
Yes, I do. But I think it's prime. It's a prime example that the club's not being run properly. You have a team selection, as the guy spoke about tonight, where news was filtering out that Murray wasn't playing due to the fact of a potential bonus that we would have to play for Flamengo if he was to play. I think it's a prime example of it starts at the top. If you take Leicester, for example, you look at Leicester's players, Wesley Fofana, Dennis Pratt, James Maddison, Mark Albrighton. I don't think these players are on more than 100 grand a week. I don't think none of them are on 100 grand a week, but they've all got heart for the cause and they've all got the fight for the club. And if you look at an owner that cares, and we don't have that, we just have an owner who sees Arsenal as a long-term healthy investment. That's it. Doesn't care if Arsenal doesn't care if Arsenal. He might put his hand in his pocket to show that he spends money, but this is not money being spent in the right areas. I mean, if you weigh up the age and the financial situation we find us in, to say it's an oversight is a bit of an understatement. And I was thinking on my way home today. You think we left Highbury? What did we leave Highbury for this? For the predicament that we find ourselves in. I'm not talking about bad results off the pitch. I'm not talking about draws with Crystal Palace. I'm talking about the running up. And I say we used to have such high standards, and they are slowly slipping away. And we just seem to be going through the motions. And when you have an upturn, certain parts of the fan base like to proclaim that we can pull out the most ambitious achievement out of the fire, and then when we have a downturn, we're enough. At the moment, we're just going through the motions, unfortunately, and I just think still, I've said it many times on this platform and on other platforms as well, until an owner comes in who's willing to build this club up brick by brick and have the courage to say no to certain situations and run the club with the best interests of the club at heart and not just a healthy investment, I really can't see us making significant progress.
Raj, I want to get your thoughts on Auber and his performance of late. Do you think Arsenal made an error that offering them the contract extension, Raj?
No. Look, I think there's a lot that James said there, and there's stuff that James said that I do agree with. There's things that I fundamentally don't agree with. Obviously, that's the beauty of being fans. Like, we can have different opinions. And I think, though, with the Auber situation, there's a really famous investor the other day that he was sort of talking about investment advice, and one thing that he said, which really struck a chord with me, was around. It was very basic, and he basically just said, always remember that just because a decision didn't turn out to be a good one didn't necessarily mean that at the time you made the decision it was the wrong one, right? And I think this is an example of a case where you can apply it to this situation, and you had a player who was absolutely our talisman, right? Best player in the team, banging goals in for his whole career, and he's still banging goals in for us. The idea of taking him away from our team at the end of last season, based on what he was doing, was just, you just wondered where goals were going to come from. It was a similar situation to when we had Sanchez and Ozil, and the idea of losing them was just out of this. Our fans were just going crazy at the idea of losing them. And then when we lost one, if we had lost Ozil as well at that time, the fans would have just rioted. And in a similar way, if we hadn't have done whatever we could have to kept Auber, the fans would have rioted. And if Auber was scoring goals, and I think, the form that he's in right now, it's terrible. He's playing really bad. But does that mean that it was the wrong decision to extend his contract on the basis of the information that we had, and on the basis of, his stature at the club and where we were as a club? Like, I don't think it was the wrong decision. But I think the fact of the matter is he's not playing well. And I do question these days whether he deserves a spot in the team. I know it's hard. If you're the captain to drop him. But I do want to, just go back to some stuff James said. Like, I think we have to be careful with some stuff, right? Because there are a lot of our fan base who don't like the owners. There's not actually much of our fan base who really like the owners, but there's some of our fan base who are relatively indifferent. But the problem is, I think when we look at, if we have an opinion on how the club is run, and if we think it's negative, then any rumor we see or hear, we'll jump on if it backs our narrative. And the example of this Mari thing was hilarious. Like, so the guy on, I can't remember who it was, whether it was it was LT Arsenal. It was one of these Arsenal accounts who started pushing the rumor of this. You know, if Mari plays one more game, then we owe them about $1 million or something like this. And after he tweeted that, he immediately tweeted a reply saying, "By the way, this was a joke, but I'm here for the replies." And it was just, he did it because he knows that there's loads of our fans who are going to go, "See, that's terrible. How badly are we run? Rah, 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 rah."
Yeah.
And we got to be a little bit careful with stuff like this, right? That we try and do our due diligence a little bit, because there are things that you can criticize the club for, but like, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, right? There are things which are just made up. They're just completely fabricated, and not let that cloud our judgment of what's going on. I think Murray is he seems to be injured. I don't think there's a solid reason for us to think there was anything random as to why we're not playing him. I think Gabriel's one where he's been our best centre back this season, right? And I think if he was fit, I can't see a scenario where Arteta doesn't play him. This is not a tactical reason, right? It's a case where he probably felt, for whatever reason, physically, whatever, he's not ready. Otherwise, if he was, he'd guarantee a place to the team. He's been arguably our best player the whole season. So I'm not sure. Like, there's not like when it comes to team selection, there wasn't too much I was critical of yesterday. The one thing is this left back situation is a bit weird. I think one of the things that I would probably look at the club and scratch my head about is, why haven't they integrated a younger left back into the setup as backup? I think the only good argument I've heard against that is that we only have one left back who's showing any promise in the youth. That's a guy called Lopez, and even he's not meant to be that great. You know, he doesn't look like he's that good. So maybe that's the reason why we haven't ushered someone in, because I think when Ainsley Maitland-Niles, the guys have mentioned it, yeah, he's played on the left, but he's played well as a left wing back when we play the three and we play him as left wing back. And he plays well in that position because it's similar to what Cancelo does at Man City, where effectively you roam in as a central midfielder for half the game, right? And Tierney then comes up on that left-hand side. But playing Maitland-Niles as a left back, you've got to respect the guy, because clearly whatever he's asked to do, he does. Clearly, you know, he'll do whatever needs to be done for the team. So you've got to respect him for that. But to have a guy who's not played for ages and get him to play in a position that's really foreign to him, it's harsh. And that's why I think that situation was a bit mismanaged, in the fact that we knew we were letting Kolasinac go. Why didn't we have another younger left back, you know, there who could at least pick up some of this slack?
Before I go to Mube, because I see Mube's been taking a little swig of his Hennessy. Raj, so do you think Arsenal should literally dip into the transfer market, and plug that gap there on the left-hand side to give Tierney some backup? Do you think we need to go to the market and get someone ASAP, or?
I do. We just don't have a backup left back. I mean, it's as simple as that, isn't it? We don't. If you look at right back, we've got a number of people who can play right back. We've got a number of people who can play right back, because we're not even. Callum Chambers can play right back. He's, and then you've got Cedric, you've got Maitland-Niles, you've got Bellerin, you've got, those guys are, that's four. That's enough already. You don't need more than that. But then left back, we've got Tierney and we've got Maitland-Niles, who, because he's a versatile guy, will just say, "Yeah, I'll do it." Who else can play left back? You're going to play Gabriel at left back just because he's left-footed? You're going to play Murray at left back? You can't play, you can't play Saka at left back. It's a complete waste, So I really do think we need to, or take Lopez from the youth team if we think he can be a half decent player, at least until maybe the summer, if there are some better options out there. Just get him integrated, maybe. But it's a concern not having a backup left back for sure.
Mube, Oba.
Not a mistake. Not a mistake. I said it, but no, I don't think it's not. There's not a fan in this fan base that wanted to see, if we had let Abba go, just like my guy just said a while ago, if we had let him go last summer, there's not a fan that would have been happy about that. You cannot show me one person that said last year it would make sense for Arsenal to sell Aubameyang. He was literally the only player scoring all the goals for us. There was no one else. It was Abba FC for the last 2 seasons. That's pretty much what it was. Without him, we weren't doing anything. Big games. He was that big game player that shows up for us. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not blaming the club. Zero. I'm not blaming. He's going to a bad patch of form. He's not playing well right now. I think Martinelli does offer us something different from what he does on that left-hand side. But then if he didn't play yesterday, who would you play? You gonna put William there? Pepe is not on form. We can't just use that game because I see people are quick to jump on it. And this is what happened with this. And this is what gets me mad about these fans all of a sudden. When Ozil was in the team and he didn't perform in big games, the first thing that comes up is wages. Ozil's wages, right? You get Ozil is out the picture now. You get Aubameyang. Every time we don't have a big game, they're gonna put the focus on him. If we was to sell Aubameyang next season, how long do you think it's gonna be before we turn the attention to one of the other players that's in the team? That's just what's gonna happen. You guys were here saying that the club make a mistake for selling Martinez and keeping Leno. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to be happy with what the club is doing. You can't just group everything as a big mistake. The club had to sell one of these players. If we had sell Leno and keep Martinez, people would still say the club made a mistake if Martinez made a mistake. That's just the way it is. He's a player that carried us for the last 3.5 seasons that he's been here because he came here in January, right? Yeah. He scored goals over and over. We are 15 games into the season. I'm not going to say the club made a mistake. What the contract that he got from this club was well deserved because he was our talisman. If he had left, it would have been the same feeling like when Henry walked out on us. He was the only guy in that team that was world-class player for us when Henry left us with all those kids. And we still haven't recovered from that yet when he left. You see what I'm saying? So we can't just use all these players and just like, oh, the club made a mistake every time. Every time we see a young player from a club that used to play for Arsenal, I see the little kid that's playing for Palace that used to be in Arsenal when he was 11, and people are blaming the club for letting him go. Everyone is not going to make it at Arsenal. It's just what happens. You can't just, every time something goes wrong, we let this player go, or that player's on loan, or, this player used to play for Arsenal. Look at him now. Everyone is not going to make it. The same thing is happening now with Nketiah. When Lacazette was off form last season and Arteta put Nketiah in there, everyone was happy with it. Everyone was happy with it because Lacazette was not scoring the goals. Nketiah came and bagged a few. Everyone was happy. One of our own. Nketiah is in the team. He's a tapping merchant. He will get us the goals. It's good. He put the pressure on players. He works hard for the team. Everyone was praising Nketiah. And as soon as Balogun came in the picture, now all of a sudden Nketiah ain't no good no more. Let's sell him and promote Balogun. What's going to happen when Balogun come in the team, play a few good games, and then start having a bad time? Then it's going to be John Jules. Let's get John Jules in the team. I'll sell Balogun now. Let's get John Jules in the team. And then it's going to keep going up. It doesn't. This is what, pick a side. You have to do something. Balogun wants to come into the first team now. I want him to play, but he wants to come in and play now. I think you should earn that. Just like John Jules went out on loan now, and he's earning that place. I think he deserves a chance in the first team more than Balogun do. But people don't want to see that because John Jules is on loan right now and he's scoring goals. James always come here and tell us about Bullard that's playing center back position. He deserves a chance more than some of these players that's at the club. You can't just take a player from when Nketiah was in the under 23. He was doing the same thing Balogun was doing and better. Just to let you know, he was scoring more goals than him for the U23. He was scoring more goals than him for the under 23s when he was there. He's playing for the England under 21. He's the record goal scorer for them. You can't just like every time something goes wrong with a player, you turn your backs on them. It just doesn't work. Leno was one of our best goalkeepers, saved us for 2 seasons. And as soon as a guy come in and had 10 good games, you guys ready to throw him out the door. You got to trust some of these players. I'm not saying all of them are worth trusting, but I think a guy like Aubameyang that has done so much for us as fans, I think it's okay for us to give him a half a season. It's okay for us to give him 20 games. Yesterday in the game, when the game first started, and no one will say this, he looked lively in the game. He looked like he was energized in that game. He had a chance. He took a shot. I see him run back and win the ball back a few times, but no one is going to talk about it. The first 20 minutes of the game, he was working hard. And Crystal Palace just shut everything down. But no one is going to talk about No one is going to talk about Saka. He had a poor game yesterday. No one is going to talk about Smith Rowe. He had a poor game yesterday. It wasn't just Aubameyang. The whole team yesterday was poor. And every time we have a poor result, the first thing we talk about is these guys' salaries. I hate it. It happens. They're going to get paid. If you want the best players at your team, this is what's going to happen. We go out there, we go sign. What do you think when Saka, 4 years from now, when Saka get ready to renew his contract, you think he's going to get a $60,000 a week contract? It's not going to happen. He's a better player. He's going to get a contract close to what Abba is on now. And what we're going to do then, we're going to turn on him too when he start having a bad game because we paid him too much. It doesn't work like that. We can't have our cake and eat it too. And this is what gets me with this fan base.
I love honestly, I just love everything you said, Mobe. Too. I couldn't love you any more than how much I love you at this moment in time. Like, I think everything that you said it resonates so much, to be honest. Like, and if I just pick on a couple of those things, the amount of young strikers that we have kind of on the periphery who are either out on loan or someone I was thinking of the other day, we got rid of Sam Greenwood. Trust me, if Sam Greenwood starts banging them in, regardless of whether we've kept Balogun or not, people are going to go, what a disgrace. How could we have let Sam Greenwood, how could we have let him go? Well, we let him go because we've got other players who everyone else seems to still think that we should keep those players. And like Tyrese John Jules is a great example. We've got the other guy who we signed, Nikolai Muller, tall guy, striker. We can't, all these players can't make it. They can't make it. And
but Raj, why have we arrived at this juncture where the fan base are so reactionary? Like Mube said, it's like the flavor of the month is just a month. After that, we're like I said last time with James Earl, we treat the players like bubblegum. The taste goes so quickly. We want the next flavor of the month. How is it that we've arrived at that stage?
Well, it's not just us. It's not. This isn't just an Arsenal problem.
Well, but I'm talking about Arsenal. Forget about all the other. Yeah. Why? Sorry.
So what I mean is, when I say the reason I say that is because I don't. This is a societal issue, like the way that we've become right now, right? The way that I think, firstly, it's this kind of notion that we all. Social media has empowered this, right? This feeling that we all just know. We know better than anyone. We don't need to listen to the coaches that have been coaching football for like 30 years. We don't need to listen to Arteta. We know better than these people. Like there's a little bit of that, right? And there's this kind of addiction that people get to complaining about stuff. There's an addiction to the negative, right? It seems to be a much more addictive thing to do, to turn around and say, I can't believe we lost that guy. I can't believe we've done that to that player. I can't believe how much wages is it? It's as opposed to sort of just kind of having a little bit of perspective and saying, do you know what? We're not going to get every decision right. We're not going to get every decision right. But often you've applied a rationale at the time of making that decision that at that time was probably the right decision. The rationale was sound. As long as you apply a sound rationale. Again, we go to that situation with Greenwood's example. We let Greenwood go because we thought, well, there's only so many strikers. In this example of Balogun and Nketiah, which I think maybe this naturally evolves to this discussion that you wanted to have, Alex. But Mobe made a fantastic point. The sort of stats that Balogun has been providing in the under-18s that have caused fans to turn around and go, oh my God, we can't lose him. We can't lose him. Nketiah was doing the same thing. Nketiah is also, like Mobe said, he's England under-21's highest goal scorer of all time, right? But people now are saying there's something else that's new and it's shiny, and we need to make sure we don't lose that new and shiny thing until that new and shiny thing fails, right? And then it's whatever. So at a certain point, we just have to be sensible. And I know as fans, it's fun to do this. It is fun, but let's just have a bit of perspective. And again, I think Mobe, it was a long little monologue, but I loved it, what he said, because I think it really typifies. No. And you can see the comments. To be honest, Mo, you see the comments. People bloody agree with you, because it's just at some point, like, we've just got to have a little bit of perspective, all right, and just calm down. And Alex, like, yes, it is a problem. How did we get this way? I'm not sure the moment. But I think it's not just an Arsenal problem; it's an everyone problem, and I think it's kind of the responsibility of people like ourselves, to some degree, to provide a little bit of perspective, I think, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Larry, thank you for being patient, you know. Did you want to chip in, Larry?
Just make a quick point.
Sorry, James, go for it, James. Yeah, but before Larry. Yeah. Yeah, one of you.
Just before
okay, James.
Larry goes in, I just want to make one very important point. I interview professional players and managers on a regular basis, and I want to make one thing clear as regards you players. And I'll tell you what Charlie Gilmore told me, who came through the youth setup at Arsenal. And these were his words. You are given at Arsenal, you are given the best coaches, the best facilities, you're in the best efforts of everybody involved to make you the best player and the best person you can be. Leave Arsenal, you automatically think that the clubs are queuing round the block for your services, but they quickly come to realise that Championship clubs and Premier League clubs are willing to take a chance on a young boy in a man's game. And Arsenal have spent a lot of money training up youth players, and they've got a duty to give them a clear. And I don't believe we've been doing that at all. I don't think we've been giving players a clear pathway for a sustained period of time. We might do it every now and again, but we don't do it for a sustained period of time. If you was a young player, you wouldn't go to Arsenal because the chances of breaking through, and also as well for these young players who go on to experience their career at other clubs, what they experience stays with them. In the case of Crystal Palace, the guy was almost destroyed when he left Arsenal. A long time to get back. And I think we really have to shine a light on the loan policy. I think Arsenal's loan policy has been somewhat neglected. I mean, yes, it's good that like the likes of Ballard at Blackpool, Ipswich, Nketiah was called back from his loan period. I thought that was a little bit of an oversight. Yes, he scored a few goals, but you have to remember as well for the loaning of these young players, for many of them, it's the first time in their lives that they go into a fully fledged adult dressing room where you're dealing with win bonuses, you're dealing with fully fledged pros, you're dealing with a fully fledged team environment. And even if you don't play every game, learn from being in such an environment. People seem to think, oh, he went on loan and he never played. Not to say he would have never have learned. I think we need to shine light on our youth policy, and we need to start to give players a clear pathway. And as for people saying about signing different players, you can't stockpile players. We're talking about human beings. I go out of my way to make sure every single one of my interviews, whether it's Jamie Carragher, Graham Potter, Simon Barker, or Dutch players anywhere in the world, that you go to the story behind the football because of the sacrifices made by these players. They didn't just rock up at the club. They mostly lost their childhood training to become a professional footballer. And in the case of our fans, it's, oh, he's no good, by somebody else. But it simply doesn't work like that. We have now got wages that are slowly and surely becoming unsustainable, certainly without Champions League money. And I think chickens will eventually come home to roost. And the sooner that certain fans realise that, the better.
But James, I think the thing I don't really understand is, what isn't this more of a football issue, as in just generally with the football industry? You've talked about stockpiling of players, you've talked about pathways of players. What is it that Arsenal are doing that you seem to think that other clubs aren't doing? What are we doing that's really bad by these players?
Well, I personally don't think we're learning from our mistakes. I'll give you a prime example. Aston Villa were almost relegated last season. What did they do? They went out in the market and they brought players to improve them. The likes of Martinez, the likes of Matt Cash. If Arsenal signed a player like Matt Cash, people would turn their noses up. If Arsenal was to sign a player like Castagna at Leicester or at Aguilon at Tottenham, people would turn their noses up. So it's just about identifying the position you need and the player you need. And I just think that some of our fan base, not all of them, some of them put price tag and reputation above hard work, previous and character. And I give the example of Leicester, where I've known about Castagna since he was at Genk in Belgium. He's an excellent player. And then he went to play for Atalanta, signed for Leicester, and is a more than capable deputy for Chilwell. But I just think, as I've said before, Arsenal, above anything, more than a manager, more than a specific player, what Arsenal need, we need a hands-on, proactive owner that actually cares, that has the courage to say, no, I'm not going to go out and buy a 12th defender because we've already got 11 of them. The courage to make strong decisions that might not be popular. But unfortunately, in our case, it starts from the top and it's slowly filtering down now, where you see on the pitch level, the difficult results. Last night wasn't a great result, but I just really do think that we're going through the motions. We need to have strong ownership and strong leadership. And if you think of what we used to have at Highbury, I know times have changed and society has changed, but we've moved to the Emirates, and I don't think I defy anyone to tell me when the news broke in 2001 that we were going to move to the Emirates Stadium, I defy anyone to tell me, regardless of how long they've been an Arsenal fan, I defy anyone to tell me that this is what they thought was going to happen. Because if people knew that this is what was going to happen, I think they would have said, no, I don't think it's a very good decision to do that. Let's just stay where we are. Because if you think we've been in that stadium 15 years, and apart from a few FA Cups, we haven't won a league title for 16 years. We between 53 and 71, we didn't win a title. Between 71 and 89, we didn't win a title. But in the modern day Arsenal, it's going to be a lot longer than the 18 years barren runs we've had. And for me, I know I might sound like a broken record at times, but for me, and I reiterate once again, I'm not going to point the finger at fans. I'm not going to point the finger at management or players, but the strong leadership at a club starts from the top. If you look at the clubs that are making massive progress, I'm not just talking about Europe. I'm not just talking about England. Look at Europe, the likes of Sociedad, the likes of Lens in France, the likes of like for example, Feyenoord here in the Netherlands are also very much improving. I know the dynamics of these clubs are different to Arsenal, but the fact remains is that they all have owners and they all have a board who are hell bent on putting the interests of the club first before their own personal interests.
Right, did you want to come back in?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think the stadium point. I think you're right. I think there's no Arsenal fan in the world that, at the point where we decided to move to the Emirates, at the time we moved to the Emirates, would say, "This is what." Where's all the music coming from?
Larry.
So I agree with James there. I don't think any Arsenal fan would have, but I think that no financial analyst in the world, no one in football would have predicted the second TV deal that came after the Emirates move. So no one would have predicted the kind of money.
That's the thing. I see Larry is back. Larry, I don't want Larry to go, but you just can't let Larry go. Larry having go ahead, Larry.
Thank you for being patient, man. You got a lot to catch up on.
Larry,
I'm not sure if I can catch up of everything now because it's been long. Anyway, you see, in the case of Aubameyang issue, I won't blame Arsenal for signing giving him that contract because he was doing perfectly well, and I don't think any club would like such player to leave at that point in time. And it's a case of you have an employee who has been doing very well, and
cut off in mid-flow. Cut off in mid-flow.
After all, before he's coming back.
Go on,
It's just what I agree with a lot of stuff that James said, but it's like we're comparing. We're always blaming the club for the way that we run the club, and with the players and the young players and the players that we buy. But we just buy Gabriel. The club just went out and buy Gabriel. Right now, he's our best center back at the club. I don't think the club made a mistake buying Gabriel, not because they didn't promote one of our youngsters. I think sometimes you have to dip into the transfer market and get some players. I think that's a good investment. You know, a Saliba situation. I don't think the club made a bad decision. You can see the club has made mistakes in the past. Don't get me wrong. We have made mistakes and a lot of them. But it's not just Arsenal that's going through this. If you look at the team that started yesterday, and you could look at the amount of players. You take out Lacazette out that team and Aubameyang out that team. Look at the amount of players that came up through Arsenal that played yesterday. We cannot say we don't give players the chance. Bellerin is an Arsenal player. We have Saka, he's an Arsenal player. Smith Rowe is an Arsenal player. Willock play a lot this season. We have Niles that plays a lot for this team. You're not going to have a squad of 18 players that got promoted to the ranks and expect us to challenge. If we're going to go that route of promoting right to the team, then just like we said before, James, we're not going to be able. You saying we don't win the league, but if we want to go the route that you want to take it, we're not going to win the league for a long time. So you have to pick one. We don't want to build from the ground up like these clubs that you're talking about, the Sociedad and clubs like that. We either have to go that route and build with the youth players and get the club financially stable. But just know that we're not going to challenge for nothing in a very long time until we can get all these players. And who said we're going to keep them? Who said these players are going to stay? Who said Saka is going to be here for another 5 years? These players are a human being just like me and you. He might not want to be here. Real Madrid might come knocking if he's as good as we think he's going to be. Every player in the club in the world want to play for Real Madrid. If they come in 5 years down the line and offer us $100 million for Saka and we don't take it, and then he turn around and he isn't as good as we said he is, we're going to blame the club for not taking that money. But then we would have been unhappy if they did. You know, so we're not always going to get it right. But we also got to give the club a little bit of credit because they're trying to change that now. And I'm not buying this off the club don't give young players chance. We're just not going to have 18 players from the youth team playing at no club. No club in the world has that. It just doesn't happen. You see what I'm saying? You have to go out and invest in the club. And I know we want to invest in some players, but we just invest in Gabriel. I think the money that we pay for him, $30 million, I don't think that's a lot for the quality that we're getting out of him. I don't think the club made mistakes in the past with players, but we also had signed some good players for cheap. We got Kolasinac for free. You know, we gave him high wages. We're trying to get rid of that. Ozil, we got him for $40 million. He served this time. We made a mistake and offer him a longer contract. He fell off. We got stuck with that. But I think now the club is trying to correct those mistakes. But we can't just go cold turkey and just get rid of all these. We can't just get rid of Aubameyang, get rid of Lacazette, and promote Balogun. And we're not. You said we don't win the league for the last 15 years. If we do that, we're not going to win it for a very long time with the clubs that's at the top now. So we have to pick one.
Move back. Let James respond. I need to get Larry in because Larry hasn't had a chance yet. James, you want to respond very quickly, James?
No, first and foremost, I respect Mube's point. I respect Mube's point first and foremost, like I do every Gooner. But before Saka and Smith Rowe and Willock, where was the pathway before that? We stumbled across Saka playing against Standard Liège in Europa League. We stumbled across a gold mine. Smith Rowe as well when he was playing Europa League football against the likes of Sporting Lisbon. We stumbled across these young players. There was no sustained pathway over a long period of time. And as for Gabriel, before signing for Lille, played for Dynamo Zagreb and Troyes. In the French league. And all of a sudden, it's good enough for Arsenal. And Gabriel's replacement is a Dutch defender called Sven Botman, who they signed for €8 million. Sven Botman has already been drafted into the Dutch national team squad. Sven Botman has the stats of being one of the best defenders in France.
So you think we made a mistake signing? You think we make a mistake signing Gabriel?
It's in my opinion already. Say the success of Lille brought as the player that Lille brought as a successor to Gabriel is, in my opinion, already better than Gabriel. And if you look at the previous of a player, the same with Pablo Mari. Pablo Mari was captain of Aberdeen when they were last in the Eredivisie. They are now a Dutch first division club. And he himself, when he was given the captaincy, when he was here in the Netherlands, he said, "What are you giving it to me for?" It was literally, "Why have I got it?" And then all of a sudden, via Brazil, he's playing for Arsenal. So we need to
We
dig
pay
deep
6
and look at
million.
the
We pay
previous.
6 million. We pay $6 million for him.
Going back to Leicester. Who?
I don't understand what your criticism is.
For
then, James.
Marie. That's what I'm saying. I know that we didn't get him at first when they first started out, and we didn't. But we paid like $6 million for Marie, and he doesn't think he's worth it. That's a mistake too.
You can identify players better, and that's what we don't do. We don't identify players better. We're not good enough in that department, because some fans think they have clout in terms of the reputation and the name of certain players. I'm telling you now, Mube, if Arsenal would have signed Castagna, if Arsenal would have signed Reguilon, people would have turned their noses up. But they are two of the best defensive players in the Premier League.
Reguilon was bossing it for Sevilla last season, so we're not going to bring him up. He was a good player. Everyone would have took him. He was a good player for Sevilla, so don't think that Spurs picked some diamond out of the rough. He was a good player for Sevilla before he went to Spurs. Just to let you know.
But he was good enough when he was at Real Madrid. He was good enough when he was at Real Madrid, and then he he went
on loan. He went on loan and showed it.
But before the loan period, he already showed that it was good enough. Already before the loan period, the loan period only served to help that. Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
like as I was saying before I was cut off. Sorry about that. It was a power failure. Anyway, like I was saying, I will blame Arsenal for giving Aubameyang that contract, because he deserved it. He has been carrying us along, just everything like Mubi said. Yes, he has been the talisman, and then no club will have such at that time and want him to go. So if the same way that Barcelona could not let Messi go, they kept on giving him what he wants. The only difference here is that Messi kept that momentum and is still up there. So now, but the problem we are facing is the board, because during those periods that Aubameyang was shining and was striking those goals, there was Ozil who was the creative midfielder and doing everything, giving him the ball, and all he needs to do is to put it in the net, which is good at. Where is the creative midfielder now? Then number two, the contract we gave him, that money might have put a lot of pressure on him, because the money was so much, and the fans were expecting very, very, the expectation of the fans were very high. That is why it makes it look like he's not doing anything. Yes, as a squad player, he's doing very well on the field, but he's not producing what we expected him to produce. So every player has his own bad time. I think this is his bad time, and also being affected that there is no creative midfielder who will give him the service he wanted. You understand? Even the Lacazette we are talking about, it's only once in a while Lacazette put up, then he will go down, he will go up, he will go down. Yes, because there was no service. Like yesterday, there was no service for Lacazette to score. So sometimes he just get luck. He will be in a position where a ball comes to him and he put it in the net. I watch him, his goal again, that our first goal against Liverpool. He himself did not know that he kicked the ball was in the net. He just kicked the ball over his head, and he turned back and he saw everybody celebrating. You understand? So it's just like that. We don't have to blame Oba, and I will not blame Arsenal for giving Aubameyang that contract at that time, because everybody eyes was on Aubameyang, because credit goes to him. He has been carrying the club in his shoulder for the past 2.5 seasons, just like Mubi said. You understand? As for the fan base, I can't blame the fan base also, Mubi. I can't blame the fan base, because we gave him 350,000 naira per week, or 357. Yes. And then everybody's expecting to produce what we are paying him for. And you cannot blame the fan, because every fan has a different perspective to these things. Your understanding is different from my understanding. What you could tolerate, the way you can understand the game is wrong. The way some fans don't want to hear anything. All they want to see is goals. You know, you can compare fans to a junior worker or low cadre workers in a company. They don't know what is happening at the management of. All they want to see their salary when as at Wendy, and if you don't give them the salary, it's a problem. It's only the manager or the management that know what the problem is. You understand? So you can't blame all the fans. If the fans said this, well, we accept it. If the fans say Arsenal is not good, we accept it. But you and I knows we understand this thing better, and we follow better. So I can't blame the fans for reacting in that manner, because we have different perceptions to life, to everything. And also concerning the issue of Real Sociedad that James was saying, we are Arsenal. We're not Real Sociedad.
Okay, let me just take a course for the pause. I feel like having a swig of Hennessy myself. God, dearie me. Anyway, we've just got the full house. We've got the crazy gang, including +1, James Rowe. Guys who are watching now, make sure you subscribe to Cannon Foy TV. Hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news. Let me try and catch up before we go into the last segment. I mean, it's almost an hour. The hour's almost gone quick, Raj. Almost an hour. Goodness.
Always happens when you're having fun, when we're having good debate.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into the... I'll try and catch up before we go into the last segment I want to talk about. There's McLeod. Good evening. He says, believing no one seems to be to buy this transfer window. Clubs don't have the money. How will that affect the summer window for Arsenal? Could be a lot of competition for the players Arsenal want. That was a question I was going to ask Raj. I mean, in this transfer window, Raj, do you think Arsenal should really be looking to buy certain players, or do you think we need to concentrate on trying to chip away at the deadwood and get the players out? What do you think Arsenal should really be focusing on?
Look, I think that we need to challenge ourselves to do both, but I think the getting rid of deadwood is super important. Yeah, like, you know, we've accumulated way too many players on our books who are on very high wages, who ultimately aren't being identified as being able to contribute to where we want to go. So obviously we started it with Kolasinac, and we might be getting rid of Ozil. There's a few other players, etc. That's got to be a priority. And you imagine that the management has sort of said, look, if we're going to bring players in, we need to do that. We need to get rid of players, right? We need to get wages off. I think what it sounds like in the interviews that we've heard from Arteta and Edu is that they didn't initially intend on doing business this January, but because of how poorly we were doing a little while ago, or certain things that they've seen in the squad, they felt that they had to go in January and address certain things. At the same time, I'd say that we're in the middle of January and we haven't signed anyone, so I think there's a big topic of conversation there as to, are we learning our lessons from the summer transfer window of getting Partey done on deadline day. But look, I think the reality is that there isn't that much liquidity in the market, and I think that teams are really worried about letting players go and being able to find adequate replacements. Players, I think, are in sort of situations where ultimately they probably feel that if they are to wait at their current club 6 months, a year, more than that, then they may be able to get better deals in the future, because of the financial situations that clubs find themselves in. So it might be tough. January's always been tough historically, and there's no reason why it would be easier this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother's in the live chat, says, good evening, guys. I'm looking forward to this evening topics. And he says he's put himself on the subs bench. Well, I didn't choose him anyway, so I'm not even on the subs bench. Oh dear. Only players who perform, Ralph, will be in the starting 11, mate. The panel, do you still believe that Arteta and his board are a correct combination to take Arsenal forward, James? I think I know the answer.
No. But again, it starts from the top for me. It's not about one particular. It's not a facet. It's not about a manager. It's not about a player. It's not about a board. It starts from the top. When I'm giving the examples of teams that have made rapid progression in recent years, it doesn't matter if they might have a lesser reputation than what we have. I'm just trying to make the point that they all have owners and a board level who are hell bent on making the best interest in the welfare of the football club. And that's something that we don't appear to be doing. So until I see significant change on that front, I personally can't see any significant progress. But once again, it's just my own personal opinion.
Jonathan says, hey, regards from Colombia. I think we are in the correct way. We will have good and bad days, normal, but we need to, I think he's trying to say, we need to get rid of some of the dead wood at Arsenal. Let's have a look here. Ashadi, one of my other moderators, do not stress too fast. We have Tierney to come back. Party the Beast is back, and Gabriel will be too. Just need to replace our deflated strikers. Larry, our strikers are deflated at the moment, not performing to some extent.
I will not totally agree that they are deflated. Where are the creative midfielders to supply them? That's my question. They are not totally deflated. We see Lacazette scoring 4 goals in 5 games. How deflated is that? That Aubameyang does not score because it's not seen. Who knows whether Aubameyang is not even used to the Arteta system? Because he did well under Wenger, under Unai Emery. He didn't perform under Arteta. Whoever, maybe the coach approach does not suit his way. We never can tell. So I don't believe he's deflated. And once in a while, he's popping in one goals. But we need a creative midfielder. I don't believe that they are deflated. That's my own opinion.
Okay. Ian Barron actually told me yesterday, he says, hi, Mube Guna, moderators and everyone watching. My wife has tested positive for COVID. I've tested negative. We have to self-isolate for 10 days now. That's a slap of reality there. You know what? Football?
Yeah, get well, my guy, get well.
Yeah, just get well, my friend, yeah? Des McLeod...
Yeah, best wishes. Best wishes.
Yeah. Des McLeod says, 4 wins, 1 draw. I would have snapped your arm off for that. Mube, I think we've probably spoken a few times about, our £72 million man. Where do you stand? Where do you lie with Nicolas Pepe? Do you think we need to give him a chance? Do you think Arsenal not utilising him in the right way? Where do you stand really with Nicolas Pepe?
I don't think he's he's in the best of form right now. So like any player in the squad, he should fight for his place. And Saka is playing that right wing better than he is at the moment. So I have no problem with him staying on the bench. He just have to play himself back into form. Again, it's another debatable one that we can go on about. Did the club make a mistake of paying the amount of money that they pay for him? But that's something that's going to happen. The heat is kind of not on Pepe right now because everyone is worried about Aubameyang. And that's what I'm saying. If Aubameyang start knocking the goals in, and then everyone start talking about him, then we can get on the Pepe conversation. That's exactly what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? We wasted money on Pepe. It's just the club have made mistakes, and that's just what happens. I don't think he's showing us at the moment that he's worth what we pay for him. At this moment, it does look like the club did make a mistake, and we can see that there were some backdoor dealings that happened that shouldn't have happened, but the club is trying to rectify that. That's what I'm not the biggest fan of Stan and the gang, as I call them. So they over here in America. I'm not a biggest fan of any of them. But when someone make a mistake and they're trying to rectify it, and I can see them trying to do something different. I can see the club trying to do something different now from what we're used to doing. I can see a change. A lot of people don't want to see it, but I can see a change. This January, we need to get rid of a lot of players. If we don't sign a player, to be honest, I'm going to be okay with that because we need to get rid of these players first. We have like 30 players at the club. We need to get rid of these players first. And that's why you go back to my point of we got to pick a side. We either going to try and win the league and buy players that's going to win the league for us now within the 2 years or 1 year or 3 years, or we're going to be patient and do it the proper way, sign the proper players for the right money, have them on the right wages and do it slowly. And we probably don't win the league again for another 10 years. So we just have to pick a side. But as far as Pepe go, he's not showing what he's supposed to show. I think Arteta is vindicated for putting him on the bench right now, and I agree with that decision.
Okay, cool.
I
Jonathan,
think this is one thing that the club, I mean, the fans does not want to accept. You know, look at Man United since 2013, they've not won the league. Now they're on top of the league, and they are doing well. Now they've got a team. It's not easy. It took how long did it take? Wenger to build the team that was flowing for like 5 or 6 years. It took him several like 2 or 3 years to get those players together. You understand? So it's not Rome was not built in a day, but I think because of the fact that we've been enjoying it in the past, the fans are still looking at it like that it must continue all of a sudden. But we need to be patient. Rome was not built in a day. Yes, we found ourselves in a very deep in the sea, in a deeper side that we never prepared for, that is so deep. This is what we find ourselves now. We are now looking for a way to get ourselves out, and the fans needs to understand this. And also, the board on their side should show the commitment. The owners should show the commitment to let us know. Okay, even if we get two, 3 good players per season, at least by the time it's 2, 3 seasons, we are on top. Then we will know that okay, fine, we are building. But now we are not. We don't even know. We are not like James said. We got an owner who doesn't care, who like to attend to rams than to attend to human beings.
Raj.
Yeah, just I think it comes back to Mobe makes this point around you need to understand what you want, and then you kind of almost have to go from there, right? So what exactly do you want to be, and then work back from that. And Soccernomics, I don't know if any of you read Soccernomics. It's a really good part of Soccernomics where it basically just says, look, it doesn't matter how you want to kind of dress it up. The team that spends the most on wages is usually the team that wins a league. And it's very rare that the team, it's an anomaly when a team that hasn't got the highest wage bill wins a league, right? It's an anomaly that and then Premier League is a league that generates those anomalies because you have 4 teams who generally have like quite high wages, right? And when you get to a certain point, okay, if you're second or third, it's kind of like similar. But it is what it is. Like we're arguing with facts. You can't really argue against that, right? So we need to identify who we want to be and then work around that. Like, and I'm not necessarily saying that I want Arsenal to be a club who wins the Premier League at all costs. I'm not necessarily saying that I want us to be that team, right? But it is a case where we just need to, as fans, I suppose, can't have our cake and eat it. And I think again that's what Mobe was trying to say, and it also links to I think some of the stuff that Larry was saying.
Yeah.
Just there.
Jonathan actually says we need to finish some of the players' contracts and loan some players. I still have hope with Willian. I hope that he does what he knows. I don't know what happened with him. It has to be resolved. And I think in that part, it does go on to actually explain what James is trying to say. Listen, we're given contracts, inflated wages to these players who are not performing. And Willian, for me, he's the anomaly. Ex-Chelsea player. He didn't really want to play for Arsenal. He wanted to stay in London, but he's not performed. So how much longer do we stick with a player like William, who clearly is not performing? But that's just my opinion.
Well, I think James makes a good point there, right? Like, so James made the point about learning from mistakes, and that is one thing that it seems like we are repeatedly making this same mistake by thinking that we can reignite players' careers who were from these other top clubs. They've been earning top money, and they want to continue that paycheck. And they want to continue living in London, but they want that 3-year deal. And we seem to think we can reignite all those careers all the time. And I don't know how many times it needs to happen before we think maybe we're not, maybe that's not the way to go, right? Like, and with Willian, it's one of these things that, to be honest, on paper, I thought, it's smart. Like he's got a great engine. He's a really fit guy. He's got great experience. Maybe we can reignite him. On the basis of what we've seen so far, I wouldn't say he's reignited, but always I'm open to have my mind changed. But that there is that again, that thing of maybe we need to stop making the same mistake with offering those kind of players nice 3-year deals.
Yeah. Mube, blimey, Mube can run better than Alex. No one can write better than Mube.
Nah. I'm just here, man. I'm sitting down. You know what? It's a tough spot, man. I just like my players. I just want the fans to just understand, just to pick a side. You cannot want to win the league, and you cannot want to not sign players. It's just not gonna happen. Leicester won the league. Yes, they did, and they deserve to win the league that year. But I guarantee you there won't be a thing like that happen for a very long time. It rarely happens. Like my guy just said, you have to get some players. And we can look at a lot of clubs that's like Liverpool. People will look at Liverpool now and say, they've been run properly. I remember a time when Liverpool signed Joe Cole from Chelsea and gave him a big contract, and that didn't work out. Remember when Joe Cole went to Chelsea, to Liverpool from Chelsea? It didn't work out.
Andy Carroll, 30 million.
You see what I'm saying? They made a lot of mistakes. And then you look at it, they signed Van Dijk, which is the best defender in the world, people say right now. They could have got him when he was at Celtic. So if we keep looking at when we're signing players and saying that, oh, we should have signed him when they was here, Pablo Mari probably wouldn't be as good as he is now if he didn't went to Brazil and play all them games at a top level. He was at Manchester City. They made a mistake letting him go, if you want to look at it like that. You see what I'm saying? So we just have to pick a side. We just have to be vigilant when we think about stuff. We're not gonna get every single player when they first hit the ground. We could have got Van Dijk when he was at Celtic for $10 million. No one went in for him. Liverpool could have got Salah before he went to Chelsea and failed, and Chelsea sold him, and then he came back to Liverpool. They could have got him before he went to Chelsea, but they didn't. You see what I'm saying? So we can't just look at it, in that kind of way. That's what I'm saying. That's the way I look at stuff. The club make a mistake, we're still making this mistake too. Because Willian is the one that's pissing me off right now. This is because it's fresh. This just happened. This is the one that I think we can all agree together, no matter what side you're on. We can all agree that William is the worst thing that happened to Arsenal in the last year. Like, this should not have happened, but it happens.
Every club made mistakes. Mistakes. Chelsea made a lot of mistakes among all the EPL clubs. Look at Kevin De Bruyne. It was at Chelsea, and they didn't even rate him. Look at him as the best midfielder in the world right now. Look at Nemanja Matic. He was first of all at Chelsea. They sold him to either Benfica or thereabout. When he was performing well, they went back and paid more money. You understand? So every club made mistakes. Like we always say, a player is rated on his present form. Nobody knew. All of us knew what William did in Chelsea, and nobody knew it's going to be a flop like this. So it's like that. It happens. It happens. The fans should understand that. But one thing I know is that public are so difficult to satisfy. No one can satisfy the public. This way it is.
Especially Arsenal fans. Actually, these fan base are more younger generation. They are more impatient. They want everything now.
Yes.
Yeah, they're chewing gum. They want that instant.
Yes.
Yeah, once it's gone, next.
Yes, exactly. This is what they call computer age, and I don't know where it's going to lead them to. I'm sorry.
Got one here from Urban Goes. Says exactly, James. Yeah.
Just generally, exactly.
No. Oh dear. Listen, let's go into the last segment. I know this will took a long time to move through the gears, but we'll talk about this just the last segment, and I'm hoping to drill Raj on this actually. So Arsenal apparently have borrowed £120 million from the government through a scheme set up to support significant businesses facing cash flow problems during the COVID crisis. This money, however, cannot be used in the transfer window. No, we can't buy any players.
Yes,
Raj, I don't know, man. I just don't. £100 million. I don't know. It doesn't.
What worries you? What worries you about it? What's your big concern? So because I think even in summarizing it the way that you did, you've sort of captured. You've got to think about some of those points that you said, which were correct, right? So the facility is there for significant businesses who provide a significant impact to the economy in a positive way. In order to qualify for the loan, you had to prove that you were a well-run business, and you had to have a certain investment criteria, right? Like you had to have a certain rating of your in accordance to how sound your business were. What we haven't seen is the amount of clubs that perhaps applied and failed. There's probably a number of clubs that applied to it. We haven't seen that, right? But if you look at the list of companies, not just football, if you look at the list of companies who have taken advantage of these loans, these are powerhouses. These are your John Lewis's. These are your Tesco's. These are big companies who know what they're doing. These are companies who aren't going to go, like, basically, you didn't qualify for this loan if it looked like you were going to go bust, or it looked like you could go bust, or you were badly run. You wouldn't have qualified. Cash flow and profit are a completely different thing. And this is a scenario where this is for companies who were going to have a cash flow challenge. A significant company is having a cash flow challenge. To avoid a significant company making a short-term decision based on the cash flow challenge, this loan was there. Because what the government don't want to happen is you make a short-term decision to get over your cash flow problem. And then, maybe it's a case of, for example, you cut ties with a supplier, and that supplier, who is a smaller business, ends up having to make a whole load of people redundant, and they can't survive without you because you are a significant cog in the economy. The fact of the matter is, it's a loan. If you did qualify for it, it's a loan of a ridiculously low interest rate. It's a lower interest rate that you can get by, if you look at all the loans that we do have in place, this will be the loan with the lowest interest rate, aside from the loans that Stan Kroenke has provided the business, right? Which, are different. It's not the interest, if anything, is negligible. So I don't think if we hadn't have applied for the loan, given the fact that COVID is probably going to impact us by the way of around 200 million, it's estimated. If we didn't apply for that loan, I would probably think it's a bad business decision. At the end of the day, we needed to be comfortable enough that we're going to pay it back in a year. So it's effectively there just to handle, like, as I said, like the cash flow, to prevent us from doing anything that may impact the economy in a negative way. It's there almost as a buffer. At the end of the day, I can't imagine us even really using much of it because, as I said, you've got to pay it back in a year anyway. But in terms of financing, it's an efficient way of financing. It's as I said, low interest rate. We qualify for it because we are a well-run business according to, the criteria. So, so I suppose I'll leave it at that with regards to it. Again, we can't use it on transfers, so it's not going to impact the kitty in any way. So but you'd hope that we've thought about that already, and we weren't assuming that it could.
Yeah, but I think that benchmark there, we would have to have proven that we are a well-run organization, stroke business.
Yeah.
Are we well-run?
Well, financially,
you mentioned we have to pay it back within like the 12 months. I'm just
financially, we're up there with the. We might not like it as fans, the way it's done, but Arsenal as a business are well run. It might not be on the football terms or whatever it is. I'm not into the financial. I'll leave that up to the Knockback Ninja. Make sure you guys go check him out because he's the man with it. I'm not gonna act like I know anything about financial businesses, but as far as Stan Kroenke is not a stupid guy. Okay, and here in America, he's respected. Okay, this is the guy that owns an NBA team, that owns an NFL team, and his wife owns most of the percentage in Walmart, one of the biggest food chain in America. This guy's not stupid. Okay, people can say what they want about. When it comes to business, he might not like Arsenal, and I really don't think he do, because he saw a good, well-run business, and he chose to invest his money into it. But he's not stupid. He's a businessman. And taking this loan, I don't know much about it. Now that Norbank explained it to me, it doesn't sound so stupid to me. I don't know much about it. Like I said, I let you guys take that part over, but he's a businessman. Arsenal is a well-run business. Don't get it twisted. We might not buy players, but trust me, the bank account is okay. It's going to be okay.
In this part of the world, especially in my country, Nigeria, Arsenal's presence in Nigeria is more than all other EPL clubs. I told you they have a partnership with the bank. They have a partnership with the communication. We have they are one of the biggest African banks, United Bank of Africa, use them. Sterling Bank are using them. Some communication outfit are using them. So I knew Arsenal as a business club, and that is why they are running them like a going concern. No club in EPL can be compared to Arsenal when it comes to going concern, when it comes to business platform, or when it comes to business or financial area. So, like Mube said, that man is not a stupid man. He's a financial guru and he's a business guru. He knows what he's doing.
One thing
James.
I'll add, just to very quickly add, just to kind of almost tie that all up to a close. So my old boss is a guy called Mark Burrows. He's the current chief financial officer of the Football Association. And I asked Mark, I said, what do you think of the Arsenal lot? So by that I meant Vinay and all those guys. And he was very brief. He said, Vinay is really sharp. He's really sharp and he's really well respected. And even in those, because it's someone I trust, even hearing him say that, it made me feel a lot better when I think about some of the decisions that Arsenal make from the business perspective, from financial decisions that we might make, or for example, when I heard about this loan, there was not one bit of me that thought that it would have been a badly thought out process, right? Like, he's a smart guy. You look at Vinay's CV, he's done some pretty impressive things, worked some pretty impressive firms. You don't get to be the CEO of a football organization with no nepotism involved whatsoever at the age of 35? He's 35, 36 years old when he was CEO. That's ridiculous. Like, he's an impressive guy. So I don't think he would have even signed off on this, and he would have had to sign off on it. And he wouldn't have done it if this was a bad idea.
Anyway, whatever it is, the bigger business guru is going to take over Arsenal very soon.
And who's that, Larry?
Dangote.
Aliko Dangote. Okay.
Aliko Dangote. You understand? The man who owns cement factory in 6 African countries. You understand? The world biggest cement producer is in my state.
Do you have his personal number, Larry?
I'm going to get it. You want it?
He loves Arsenal, right? I heard that. I read an article about it.
He's an Arsenal fan.
Leave Larry. Y'all leave Larry
alone. He's an Arsenal fan. His house is red. His mind is red.
There you go. James, your thoughts on this £120 million government loan? Yeah.
Well, interesting points made by everybody, really. Interesting points made by everybody. Raj with, about the business side of things. Larry as well with the connections in Africa, and Mube Gune as well with Kroenke not being. I'm not Kroenke's biggest fan by a long chalk, but he's obviously a very good businessman. But I remind people that we are a football club. I go back to Robin van Persie recently. Recently gave a Dutch football interview about his time at Arsenal, where one of the Arsenal board members wanted to show him the sheets of the calculating sheets of the finances, and he said, "I'm a footballer. I'm not interested in that." I said, "I want to win. I want to win things," and that we are a football club, and at the minute we have an owner who is more interested in protecting his investment and the long-term success of the football club, and for me, that's the most disconcerting thing. When I think, I've been supporting this club for more than 30 years, and I find myself harping back to the time of pre-Wenger sometimes under George Graham, thinking how good things were and how different times change and how quickly times change. So interesting food for thought from all of the people on the panel tonight about the last subject, and interesting things to think about.
Brilliant, brilliant. Before I go into I still need your words, James. Before I go back into life, just for the last time, because we've been running for like an hour and a half. It's gone very, very quick. James, are there any up and coming interviews you can now quickly tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. The very first next interview will interest Larry in particular, because it's with the Gambian striker of FC Zurich, Asnan Cisse. And we spoke about his time playing in Germany, currently playing for FC Zurich, and also being capped by his country of Gambia. He's only 23 years old, but he was telling me about the pride about playing for his country. And they're on the verge of qualifying for the African Cup of Nations. And he's a very level-headed young man. And he's particularly about, when he was speaking about his country of Gambia, you know, the pride that was involved. Upcoming interviews also include the likes of party official man Brian Graham, and also Gordon Moffat of Clydebank, and also Jason Cundy, who played for, among others, Chelsea and Tottenham. So very interesting interviews coming up. There really is something for everybody, and onwards and upwards we go.
Brilliant, brilliant. Mube, here's a comment for you in the live chat. Ashidee says, hey up guys, let's have some thumbs up. Mube will have one shot of Hennessy for every thumbs up there is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Trust me, there's plenty where it come from. I got plenty. Don't worry about it. I ain't got no work till for a while. I don't work again till February. Trust me.
Right, we'll keep going then. We'll keep going. The Urban Ghost says, don't worry, we won't win the league at all costs with this ownership. Santiago says, great show, Alex and panel. Good views and opinions expressed. The game is a problematic game, whether a business or football. All you can do is have a better and higher edge than the opponent, so that the odds work in your favor. Probabilistic game, Alec. Okay, is that actually a word? Raj, is that a word?
I don't know.
Get my dictionary. Anyway,
I think he's on the head. He drinking too much Henny.
Keep your eyes on the money. Arsenal, well run money actually doesn't actually leave the club. We've come to an end, people. Fantastic. The second Easy Talk of the new year. Guys, it's been a really interesting discussion. £120 million loan. I'm not falling for it, Raj.
They want to know the financial side. Check out the North Bank Lindsay. He got it covered. Don't ask me, because it get over $1,000. I'm lost. I don't have nothing to do with all those millions. Nothing.
Raj, if we are not going to invest the money on players, so how do we pay back?
What do you mean, Larry? So I mean, we can't use the money for transfers.
If we can't invest,
it's for wages. Wages to keep the staff. Wages to keep the staff. It's the same thing that every government is doing it.
I understand. How is the money going to come? You know, is it not the player that are going to produce the money?
Sometimes, Larry, the complex thing is that there'll already be relationships that Arsenal will have with a number of banks on some of our facilities that we will have. As part of these facilities, what we have is something called bank covenants. These bank covenants will say things like, if Arsenal's cash balance drops below a certain point, you will have penalties of X, Y, Z. I
know. I'm a financial person too.
Okay, So I mean, that's an example of why it's helpful to have 120 million, even if you're not going to use it. If you've got it there at a very low interest rate, it can help.
You know what I'm asking is this: you took a loan to service overheads. Is that not it?
Yeah.
So how do you pay the money? How do you pay the money back when you don't invest it in the productive aspect of the company?
Yeah. For me, the bigger question is, if you're taking a loan of 120 million, and your requirement is that you pay it a year later, if you do use it, how in that short space of time are you going to be getting it back? Like, what is the
Exactly.
what are you hoping for?
Exactly.
It's a hundred, not 130. It's 120 because 10 million is owed to my guy. 10 million is owed to my guy. And we need our money before we leave this club. We need our money.
Right. As a financial person, I hope you got my question. You know what I'm saying. You understand me, right?
Yeah.
You took a loan to service overheads, which are not going to bring anything. Why not? Why can't we use part of it to service the productive part of it that will bring the money? You know, I don't understand.
But you're not allowed to use it. But you're not allowed to use it to buy players.
Yes, why? Why? That's my question. Why?
We gotta pay Ozil. We gotta pay Ozil.
So move it. You telling me that we took 20 million to
put it away. Put it away. I'm trying
it's kind of funny anyway. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. You know, you gave me a loan to service overheads. How am I going to pay it 365 days later when I did not service a productive part of the organization that is going to produce the money for me to pay back? Government knows what they are doing. Huh? They know what they are doing.
Anyway, Larry, why didn't you say that before? I'm wrapping up the show now. Why did you say that before? I'm trying to wrap the show. Anyway. Guys, listen, absolutely fantastic. Raj, as always, man, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you on Easy Talk. Off the bench, scored a hat trick.
I'll be dropped again.
Mube, penalty.
Yeah, it might be the last time you guys see me and my old friend because he leaving. But just want to show you one last time. But as usual, man, I always appreciate you guys, man. It's always good being on the show with you guys, man. Much love, each and every last one of you. Big up the fans too, and don't forget, man, y'all got to go get the merch. I don't know what y'all waiting on, but I need everybody in the chat. Make sure y'all go pick up what's. It's cheap too, If I can buy it, you can buy it. Trust me.
James, always a pleasure. James will be back on the Monday evening show. James, fantastic, brilliant.
James? Yeah, a great show, full of different opinions and great respect as always. And look forward to next time.
Brilliant. And Don Larry, as always.
Yeah, man. As always. But mind you, I don't want to sit on the bench again.
Then we might just have to loan you out then.
No. I want to come into the main team. Anyway, always a pleasure.
Brilliant, guys. So yeah, the second East Talk of the year, fire, blood fire, guys.
I didn't fire Mube today because I don't want to fire him. Because we seem on the same side.
I think we can have re-elections, some elections sometime in the future. But anyway, if you're watching for the first time, make sure it's not the last time that you watch this channel over here. Please make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news and segments across the platform. And if by chance you've been wondering who or what you've been listening to, you've been listening to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all